KFXX, KWJJ, HD2 Portland, 1080, The Fan.
Let's stop having fun.
We have to focus.
That's right.
An Odyssey Sports Station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Portland Trailblazers are on the road today in the nation's capital. They're taking on the Wizards. Right now, they are the worst team in the NBA. Just got to their 10th win on the season. No Robert Williams III. He's been ruled out with a knee injury. Blazers are favored by 5.5. Tip-off at 4. The Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid are considering options for his injured left knee. Embiid has had multiple surgeries over the course of his career and has been receiving regular injections this year to play with his knee issues. Those 76ers are taking on the Knicks tonight in Madison Square Garden. Embiid, of course, has been ruled out for this game. New York is favored by 9.5, tip-off at 4. A couple other big games going on tonight in the NBA. Celtics are traveling to Detroit to take on the Pistons. Boston is favored by 4.5. Total is set at 226.5, tip-off at 4. Then at 6:30, the Spurs travel to Houston to take on the Rockets in a battle for the state of Texas. Houston is favored by 9.5. Total for that one is set at 227.5 points. NFL scouts, coaches, and GMs are flocking to Indianapolis for the 2025 NFL Combine. Workouts are going to start tomorrow with the D linemen and linebackers going through their lifts and tests. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080. The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings
Danny Meringue Pie.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Hump Day, Wrestling Wednesday. Ooh, that's for you over there, Mr. Will Ortner. It is a Wrestling Wednesday. Plan accordingly. Plan accordingly, sir. Whoa, that was abrupt. Have you planned accordingly?
Yeah, man, I took care of that a long time ago.
Oh, God, look at you. True professional, this Will Ortner is. True professional over there.
As we all thought.
Welcome in, Will. Will is in. Rust is out.
Little pinch hit action.
Yeah, a little. We went to the bullpen. Boop, boop, boop. How you doing today, Ortner? Did you have to leave some third grade class?
No, I was told well ahead of time. Just went and worked out.
Ooh,
Nothing crazy.
All right, all right. Mr. Meringue, how are you on this sunny Wednesday? I had to bust out the sunglasses today.
Yeah, no.
Sunglasses.
Look, I am a sunglasses even when it's kind of not dark, but even gloomy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I mean, it's a vibe. It's that former military vibe.
Honestly, it's a real thing. Like I worked in the dark for so long, and you know this as far as like when I beat you here on those rare occasions, what does the studio look like?
It is a dungeon.
It's the Batcave.
Yeah, you are in you and Swag. You guys could hang together.
Yeah,
in poorly lit rooms.
I did the podcast last night, and I've got like sliding barn doors on my studio, and I've got one when I do the show. I've got a bunch of lighting. I've got a key light and a ring light and all that kind of stuff to make it look good on the video.
Sure.
The second that stuff gets over, every light gets turned off, and
you're just in darkness.
In just pure darkness, and my wife will just like kind of open the doors, like, "Are you in here?"
That fits your brand.
Yeah,
that fits your brand.
It's very murdery.
It's kind of what you've done.
Yeah,
it's kind of what you've
done.
But
yeah, no. Long story short, I don't like the bright light without the sunglasses.
All right. Well, you need them today. It's sunny out.
It's not even just sunny. It's not even like fake sun. It's you could feel the warmth of the sun.
It's legit. It's
real.
Like
I put the puppies outside this morning, and I went, "Oh, that's warm.
Feeling it, baby. Feeling it.
It's warm."
Have you come up to date with Mary Kate Cornett?
Oh yeah,
boy,
smoke show.
That the internet.
It's not the first thing I would say.
Hath been broken. That story was something that I was floored by. I was floored by this.
Not the first time it's happened.
No, it's not. But it is. It's a
choice.
The biggest. It is It is with certain things take over the internet, and you don't know why, right? Like you're not quite sure why the internet said today is your day. That young woman at Ole Miss, boy, the internet just was ablaze. If you don't know what we're talking about,
She's still trending.
she is.
She is still trending.
In the year 2025, this is a 2-day trender.
Oh, yeah. It was
mean-
number one on my trending at one point.
Boy,
She does look like she's an Ole Miss student.
yes,
Very pretty.
she is very pretty, and I think that is why
That's
the
why-
internet's
yes.
like,
We're gonna
okay,
keep this going.
we need more here. This young woman went viral because she went to a basketball game with her boyfriend's dad,
Mm-hmm.
and the boyfriend wasn't there. It was like they went back to their hometown or whatever, went to like a younger sibling's basketball game, then went out to dinner with the dad, stooped the dad.
Mm.
And I don't know how everybody found out about it.
I bet your dad was talking.
Boyfriend found out about it.
I think she was actually the one talking.
Mom found out about it. The mom's still with the dad. Boyfriend
Ruh-roh. was
was still with her at the time. And it was just like, we're just going to keep this thing going. I have a feeling that has changed, because one of the things that is truly incredible about all of this is that how this information is circulating is via not screenshots, photos taken of cell phones, because it's all in Snapchat.
Mm.
And I have to tell you right now, we really need to reassess our language arts in the qualifications to get into, at the very least, Ole Miss. Because I read about 800 words on this Snapchat thing of a message.
Like, what do you mean, bro?
Oh my goodness. It is the most horrendous thing I have ever read in my life.
I haven't read any of them.
Oh, you haven't
Oh, you
read any
haven't?
of them?
No.
Oh, Danny, go have fun trying to read that.
Oh, so this is
this-
somebody
it-
wrote this down.
Is
I'll
this
just
is this a thank God she's pretty situation?
I don't know who
This
wrote
is
this.
from
This
her.
this is the story being relayed from person to sorority to frat to sorority.
Oh.
This is how it's circulating, is on Snapchat. I'm going to read you just a snippet of this, and holy moly.
It shows why Mississippi is the worst in education.
Yeah. They wrote all of this down. Like, they took the time to type all of this out. Basically, so I don't know, like, if you've heard this part, but so over like the break, or I can click right before the break started, Mary Kate went home early from school because I guess she like finished her exams and went to go watch Evan's little sister in her basketball game, and went with the dad, and then they dropped off the sister at home like after the basketball game, and then they like go to dinner and drinks, and he was like buying her drinks and stuff, and then they like go to watch, and then they like go with each other over there or something, and then that was like the first time.
Good
It goes on.
God.
Is written out. They're writing like so basically like what is
Goodness gracious.
here I am being an old, thinking that kids are just abbreviating every single word. Apparently, they're just adding every word to sentences now. They've overcorrected here.
Got to hit the word count, bro.
We've got to go back down to abbreviating every word, because this is even worse than having to go with the decoder ring to figure out what some of these words are. It's happening though. And this girl is trending, and it's a whole thing, man. Like, there are people that are coming out and saying Dad's not the only one, and having screenshots of messages that she has sent several dudes. And then there are people that like, she Venmoed me $150 so I wouldn't tell her boyfriend. It's like, what is going on here? It is the most internet story of all time. The student section started chanting her name during a baseball game yesterday at Ole Miss. I can't believe that this is what the internet back in 1996 when we were on AOL and it was I would have never imagined that this would be where we are. Yet here it is.
What's a
2025.
wilder kind of situation here if you're the dude who Steve Smith stooped your wife?
And that may be the
Or-
other part of this is that we're coming off of the Steve Smith scandal too.
Or logging on as a college student and finding out that everyone in the world knows your dad stooped your chick.
Yeah. Oof.
Did you see the comments?
Probably the
How he
probably
needs to
the
get even?
Steve Smith one.
The group chat.
The what?
No, the comments about what the son needs to do to get even.
No. Oh no.
Needs to sleep
They've-
with
they've-
his wife.
They've tagged the mom or her mom.
And I'm just like,
Boy,
this is getting out of control.
it's crazy.
There's going to be a Netflix doc on this in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Hand up.
I don't know, man.
As a leader of Gen Z, I don't stand for this.
Mm.
We need to not be doing this. This is like Jerry Springer. This is your guys' generation.
Whoa.
No, your guys.
Careful where
no,
you go next.
Your guys' generation popularized Maury and Springer.
Yeah.
We should be better than that.
No.
Oh.
Don't act like you guys didn't popularize
can't.
it.
No.
Who's the father?
Yes.
We're not doing that.
Did
We're
you not-
learning from your
Did you not
mistakes.
see the Maury show tweet out after that chick set the all-time record of sleeping with the most men in a day or whatever it was?
Oh my gosh.
No.
The Maury show tweeted out, we will not
That was fake.
be doing this. Yeah.
That was fake.
Yeah, I know. It's
Holy
a
smokes.
parody Morty show.
We're
Oh.
here. And it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
The worst well, it's not the worst one that I saw. Apparently the dude whose girlfriend this was, his profile picture on his social medias.
Oh yeah.
He's wearing a t-shirt that says Daddy's Home.
Yeah,
You can't
he
make
is.
this stuff up, dude. In the back of my mind, I feel bad for all parties involved here.
You feel bad to her?
Maybe.
Susie Homewrecker? But
Well,
the home she
yeah.
wrecked is
Yeah.
their own?
Yeah, well,
For some reason, I'm gonna say that's more on the dad.
I think I'm just gonna go everybody involved because everybody. I'm gonna blanket this whole thing because this is spiraling
Yeah.
and it's not good. It's not good at all for anybody forever. And it like these are things that are gonna stick with you like forever. And that's the thing about the internet right now. Well, for always the internet is that these things that take off, like they are going to be. It won't go away. It's never gonna go away. And so yeah, I do. I feel bad for everybody involved. I do. Even Susie Homewrecker there. It's none of it is gonna be good. The result for all of these people
How
is
do
bad.
you escape this? Like,
Change your
because
name.
we
And that's the thing. It's
'cause
like
we
that's
know
why I
her-
feel bad for
we-
everybody.
We know her
man.
name. I mean, I don't feel bad for the dad.
No.
No.
No, I
No,
don't.
not
no.
at all.
No,
He's a
I
piece
don't
of
feel bad
garbage.
for dad.
No.
Dad, don't feel bad for.
No.
Bad dad.
Because
Bad dad. A horrible dad.
horrible dad,
Worst dad of all time.
but
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a but there, dude.
I think there
mean,
is a but.
there is.
No. I don't think there's a but. I'm with Will. I don't think there's a but
He-
there. I don't. Mm-mm.
oh no, I'm talking about the bros that are out there like, but he did.
He clearly orchestrated it though. Like
Yeah, there
think
are
about
people
this.
that are turning him to a hero, but I'm
Yeah.
with Will on
He
this.
should not
in
be a
that.
hero.
No, I'm
This is
with
not-
I'm with you
he
guys.
should
But
not.
like,
bad.
I don't
Denounce this
Naughty.
dadding.
Not
I don't
okay.
understand being.
Timeout.
Look, we're both 40.
Yeah.
Like, being around women that age is not fun.
It really isn't.
As a 27-year-old, I
Oh,
agree.
it is.
See,
Yeah.
yeah. You get to a point where you're like, oh,
No, I'm good.
what in the
I'm
world?
and I shouldn't even say women. People that age is
Yeah.
not
Hey.
fun. It's just like,
Well, you're not that age
Yeah.
anymore, Will. Sorry, you've
I was
cycled out of
hired
that.
around that
You're
age.
27 years
Yeah.
old now. You're shaving your head.
no.
I'm shaving my head when I got here.
Not by choice.
Touche.
You know,
There you go.
like you've aged out of this demo here.
I just want it out there though. Like,
Yeah.
it's a wild move as a father to be like, I'm gonna have my son's girlfriend
It's bad.
hang out with me to my daughter's basketball game, and then after we're gonna go out and get food. Like,
Yeah.
if this is all true, he set this up, he planned this out. He might be the most evil person in the world.
Yeah, none of this is, and this is why it's all bad. All bad, all parties involved.
Vancouver Ford text line has got a great one here because remember we had the Hawk Tua chick who had the Talk Tua.
Yeah, she went away.
podcast.
She went away for a while
the
because
meme coin.
yeah, she got
the rug pull.
the fake cryptos.
Yeah. But how long until she gets her own podcast and it's called "That's Not How Your Dad Does It"?
Oh,
Woo! People are sending him Venmos right now, and one just says, I'm so sorry for you. I hope this helps.
man.
I mean,
The word
that's
got to
be the
just
thing.
Said, what that texter just put out there though, that might happen, dude. That might happen.
wouldn't surprise me.
It's awful.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's a start. Didn't know where we were going there. As Lasnik on Lazink. I always screw that. I'm sorry, man. I always screw up his name. On the YouTube chats, he says, "You want some stories? Talk to a divorce lawyer and ask him about the most messed up stuff they've had to deal with." Dude, if that will make you, some will make you laugh. Most will just be like, "Oh my goodness, what a train wreck!" And that stuff doesn't hit the internet. This whole thing is now coast to coast, worldwide. It's the World Wide Web. It's the World Wide Web that we live in. So there's our Ole Miss talk of the day. There was really funny parts out of this though, like all of the Lane Kiffin memes that were going around of him just like, because Lane face is a thing where he just always looks surprised at some point.
Yes.
Or he's contemplating something. It was like Lane Kiffin sees Ole Miss trending on Twitter, and he's like, "Oh boy, oh,
Where's this going?"
all right, let's get to it. Let's get to this show on the road. I think the biggest news story of the day is the game that happened last night. What a show he put on, and there was vengeance. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Back by And Portland's sports leader, 1080, The Fan.
Well, Luka Doncic had himself an Ice Cube day, messed around and got a triple-double in his first game against the Dallas Mavericks. 19 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists as the Lakers fend off the Dallas Mavericks last night in L.A., the first time that Luka played his former team.
Game had some juice. I'll tell you that game had some juice. The game itself was good. The lead-up was good. Luka was very clearly bothered.
Dude, he was, yeah. I mean, you could tell he didn't shoot well.
No.
By any means. You could tell we talked about this at the end of our show yesterday, where it was like, I thought he would be pressing a little bit too much. And you saw that. He did settle in. He hit some massive shots. And
he was 19, 15, and 12. Like, he was really good.
Turned around and looked directly at Nico Harrison.
That first big three he hit, or the only three he hit, he stared a dagger into Nico's chest.
And if you're Nico Harrison, the worst thing that you could have done is worn like the brightest blue suit in the world.
It was on purpose, and honestly,
and so he could identify you immediately.
I respect Nico for that.
Oh, really?
No, see, I'm dead serious. Not only did he show up, he had to show up.
Yep.
I don't care if it's in LA. You made that move.
I don't think he's going to show up in Dallas, though. He won't go into the crowd in Dallas. He'll be like up in a box and in a luxury suite and have security.
Yeah.
But he won't be in the crowd like he was last night.
I think honestly they keep him in a tunnel.
Did you see the photo that came out of that?
The one over Luka's shoulder?
It's over Luka's shoulder,
fantastic.
and it's focused on Nico Harrison sitting in the crowd, and you can see Luka's head is just tilted right at him.
Yeah.
Just right at him.
Post game, they asked Luka if he saw Nico when he was warming up, and he said no, which is hilarious because Nico in that bright blue Dallas Mavericks blue suit was sitting on the
he was
scoreboard.
leaning up against the scorer's table. Yeah, at center court.
Yeah, which is not something that's uncommon for him. He does that.
Yeah. Well, GMs, coaches, execs, that's where they all will congregate. You know, right, just like a football game, right, where the coaches meet at midfield. You'll see both sides kind of go and just sit near mid-court and lean on the scorer's table. He was right there, and Luka was 15 feet from him. Yeah, he saw him.
What I thought was interesting coming out of it was immediately following the game, he hops on the broadcast with TNT, and I think it was Candace asked him kind of how you're feeling, and you could just hear him go, I'm tired.
Yeah, he wants to go sleep.
I just want to go home.
Well,
and it wasn't like a defeated.
That's why they traded him. He's out of shape.
It was very much you could tell, like, he's still not just like bothered, he's wounded.
Yeah, mentally taxing.
Yeah, like you just be like, and this wasn't even what's going to be truly taxing. It's the return to Dallas.
April 9th.
Vince Carter talked about it when he got back to Toronto, and he's like, yeah, I went for 39 and a 360 dunk.
Hell yeah. We need to talk about Shaquille O'Neal absolutely gaslighting Vince Carter on that set. So on the set was Vince Carter, Candace Parker, Shaquille O'Neal,
and Lefko.
And Lefko. And they're sitting there, and Lefko says, best in-game dunker of all time. Vince is like, yeah. And Shaquille O'Neal throws out a litany of names of good dunkers. Dr. J, great dunker. Yep. Throws out Jordan, Sean Kemp he threw in there, which was a great dunker.
Great in-game dunker.
Then he said David Lee was a better dunker than Vince Carter.
I love Shaq.
I mean, it was like...
Not Blake Griffin, not, hell, you could go with Gerald Henderson or who was the other? Gerald Green. Gerald Green was an insane in-game dunker. David Lee?
No, he was gaslighting.
Florida legend, David Lee.
And Vince Carter was just sitting there biting his tongue because he's a polite man.
Mm-hmm.
But, then Lefko asked him, well, who would you not be offended by on this list? And he was like, I'd be offended by everybody. Vince Carter's the best in-game and out-of-game dunker in NBA history. Yes. Because you take what he did in the slam dunk contests, which were electrifying, and then he jumped over a man and ruined his basketball career.
Literally ended his career. The last time he saw a professional court was in the Olympics against Vince Carter, a 7-footer that Vince jumped over. Just think about that for a second. Vince Carter got his waist above 7 feet off the ground.
That's some professional gaslighting by Shaquille O'Neal.
That to me is the best in-game dunk in the history of basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfathomable
It was
to do that in a game.
to a grown man.
To even have the audacity to try that is just, I can't even like wrap my head around that. Every time that, you have your clips on social media where like, oh, watching that. Any single time, Vince Carter best in-game dunks. I don't care if it's 37 minutes long and I'm sitting on the toilet and my legs are going numb.
It's like
it's press play and we're watching it all, baby.
Dude, I will. Vince Carter dunks, Barry Sanders highlights. I am hooked. You'll get me 10 times out of 10
every single time.
Yeah, you will get me 10 times out of 10.
There's no better dunk highlight reel than Vince Carter's dunk highlight reel. It is the standard.
Yeah,
it is the gold standard. And look, there's been guys that have. I mean, Aaron Gordon's a monster. Zach LaVine's a monster. You're talking about modern guys.
Yep.
LeBron's got some monsters. Nobody has Vince Carter's list.
Going back to LeBron, like in that game last night, what that man is doing in games still at 40 years old.
You see
that half-court lob that he
the layup?
Yeah, he
the
didn't
body,
dunk it.
The body control that he just because he's full sprint. He's 40 years old. He is full sprint. Catches it with maybe a step before he has to go up. And he basically comes to a stop and goes straight up in the air and twists his body and sneaks it up between two defenders and finishes it. I jumped out of my chair because I went, how? You are 40, dog.
He is defeating Father Time right now. And
if he's not defeating him, he's at least keeping him back.
I don't care what you want to say about what he takes. What he
takes it all, and I don't care.
What he's doing is absolutely incredible to see. And last night was kind of that first, all right, Luka, LeBron in a high leverage situation, right? Because they got a pass for the first game against Denver where it's like, yeah, they won that game, but they were so new and getting used to each other. It was almost as if like this was the perfect time to play the Dallas Mavericks because they've gotten a little bit of time to get used to each other, how they play alongside each other. And to be quite frank, from what we saw the first couple of games with Luka playing with the Lakers to what we saw last night, the Lakers as a team defensively are doing a far better job adjusting to his shortcomings as a defender.
JJ Redick said over the last couple of weeks, LeBron James is playing all defensive caliber defense, and I'd agree.
Yeah.
He's been very good, not having to have that offensive burden. Did you see the play? LeBron at the left wing, Luka posting up Max Christie. He backs him down, double comes, Luka throws it back to LeBron. He reposts him, LeBron posts him, throws the entry pass. Luka backs him down a little bit further, double comes again, he throws it back out to Bron. Bron throws it back down to Luka. They double him one more time, and Luka fires it back, and it's LeBron 3. And I'm like, nobody had to work for anything there.
No, that's like when you go to like an open gym run and you see those two guys who are way too old, but you're like, they shouldn't be here. And then they are always on the same team. You're like, yeah, we're duped. We're done.
Yeah.
They're just going to be. It was old man game. They were just old man gaming.
Do the most with the least.
And it was, I hope and I pray, but it was Luka trying to get a drop step dunk on Max Christie because he was traded for him. You don't go in that many times unless you're trying to embarrass Max Christie. And they didn't, but they found their way.
No, but it was, did you see the post game? All of the Mavs, one by one, came up to Luka.
As they should. Right. As they should, man. Like, they didn't want to see him leave.
I mean, Kyrie's been pretty adamant. Like, yeah, not thrilled about it.
No, I mean, why would he be?
Huh.
Especially with Anthony Davis being injured. There. Anthony Davis being injured is the cherry on top. Mm-hmm. And now you're hearing what's coming out of that on the Dallas side is his Luka Doncic and his
drinking
love for beer. They say in the next 5 years,
his body's going to fail him.
They're going to see a catastrophic decline in Luka Doncic because he doesn't care about his body. we'll see. You should probably keep those things to yourself, though, because
If
if
he
there's one
doesn't?
thing for Luka Doncic to go, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to start putting $1 million into my body like LeBron James does, that would probably be it.
The thing about this is that in talking to folks in Dallas, they're like, obviously the front office had talks about Luka, about being in shape, and like the ego management stuff that you get with stars that comes with it.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people down there around the team that feel like that the Mavs front office was cowardly, and they didn't like draw a line in the sand of, brother, if you don't get your S together, we will ship you out of here. Which seems like if you've got a player of that talent, you should probably try that first. Jason Kidd in the postgame, that Luka Doncic guy, he fills up the box score.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, imagine if you had that on your team.
Yeah, it'd be pretty awesome. It'd be pretty awesome to have.
Unreal.
Well, Luka's return, it went the way of the Los Angeles Lakers, or I guess not his return. Luka's first matchup with his former team went the way of the Lakers last night, and now we got to wait till April 9th to see kind of how this whole thing sorts out and plays out, because that will be an amped up environment when the Lakers go to Dallas. And right now, what's interesting to me is there a pathway where, I mean, when do we see Luka? We could see a playoff series. It'd have to be a second round series, though, between the Mavericks and Lakers, because the Lakers aren't going to fall to 6, and they're probably going to be in that 4-5 range. I mean, if they fall to 6, they're still not going to face the Mavericks, because Mavericks have so much ground to make up. We'd have to see it in the second round. Sign me up for that, for a second round matchup.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, the narrative alone is fantastic.
But there's no. I have real questions about Dallas getting there and finishing that thing off.
Yeah.
I mean, without Anthony Davis, and how long he's got? What, another month that he's out?
At least.
At least another month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck on that one. 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. The NFL Scouting Combine underway in Indianapolis, and there's a lot of news and notes and nugs coming out of Indianapolis. We'll get to a little debriefing on what's been going on as the movers and shakers of the league, GMs, head coaches, are taking the podium and talking in Indy. Big extension coming in San Francisco. Next on The Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, couple big games in college basketball. At 6 p.m., Texas travels to Arkansas to take on Coach Cal and the Razorbacks. According to ESPN's bracketology, both Texas and Arkansas are on the right side of the bubble. Both projected to be in the tournament, but just barely. Arkansas is in the last 4 in. Arkansas is favored by 2.5 in that game. That game can be heard on 910 ESPN Portland, starting with the pregame show at 5:30. The Oregon State Beavers host San Francisco tonight in the last regular season week of the WCC basketball before they start their conference tournament. Oregon State needs a victory if they want to jump into the 4th seed for the WCC tournament. Right now, the Beavs are a half game behind Santa Clara for that coveted 4th spot. OSU is favored by 3.5. Tip-off is at 8. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Your favorite fan show.
Scouting Combine underway in Indianapolis, Indiana. You can catch everybody in their underwear running around a field starting tomorrow, and it goes through the weekend. But this is the day where we start getting our newsy stuff that starts popping off and being spouted about. And today, some big news coming out.
Indeed.
Namely, the San Francisco 49ers general manager, John Lynch, he took the podium today and talked about the future of his quarterback, Brock Purdy.
We have started negotiations. We're talking. I won't go into negotiations like always is our stance. Want Brock to be our quarterback as long as we're here and beyond, and we'll leave it at that. I think the final thing, there's no guarantees that we get something done, but my experience has been when both sides are motivated, there's ample opportunity to do so, and we've been able to do that. So,
what do you think the value is on Brock Purdy? He is an interesting one because he has been, in all honesty, he has been the best value in the NFL at quarterback. I mean, he is, you look at last year, it was probably Sam Darnold because he was on a $10 million deal and kind of the heights that they rose to. But if you look at what the 49ers have been able to accomplish and the fact that their quarterback has been getting paid at the very bottom of the NFL pay scale, it's pretty incredible how they have been able to navigate having a quarterback like Brock Purdy.
Getting that lucky and getting a viable quarterback at that spot in the draft, the last. I mean, the salary slotting is as good as you could get outside of an undrafted free agent.
Brock Purdy, the 22nd highest paid quarterback in the NFL for 2025, heading into this next year.
How are that many more quarterbacks making less than him?
Well, because
third string guys.
Yeah, well, you have guys like the guys that are behind him are rookie scale guys as well, because he is, like last year he was the lowest paid and it wasn't even close. But if you look at the guys that are below him, you'll have Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels,
I'm surprised that they're not
Drake
ahead of
May,
him.
Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy.
They're all drafted so much higher.
Bo Nix, because the total cash is low. Total cash is low on those guys.
Okay.
Because of the salary slotting.
Yeah.
Their signing bonuses obviously much higher.
A lot higher.
And they have the fifth year and the escalators that go up. But if you're looking at just total cash for this next year, he would be at 22nd. Purdy, though, is an interesting one because of the fact of he does have his limitations and he does have his ceiling, but he is a quarterback in the National Football League, and he's a starter who is efficient, and he's really damn good with the weapons that he has at his disposal. What is the number that is that tipping point, though, for Brock Purdy to where you keep Brock Purdy, but you don't have to give up all of those weapons that he has alongside him? Because the number right now that's being thrown out is like $49 million.
That's too much.
Per year.
30.
You think 30?
30.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him turn into a pumpkin without his weapons.
But yeah, that also though, there were so many weapons that were gone. I mean, you think of it, I think what the last game of the year there were 13 starters that were injured for the 49ers. I mean, he lost Brandon Ayuk before he even had him last year. Christian McCaffrey goes down. Deebo Samuel was banged up, but now you're going to have a life without Deebo Samuel in that offense who, look, you could say, I've been the biggest proponent of this with the way that Kyle Shanahan uses Deebo Samuel. He is their most valuable piece that they have because you have on any given play with the motion, with the fake and the threat of him getting the ball, you have to have whether it's your corner or out or your nickel, a safety and a linebacker all have to have eyes on him. Most of the time you have multiple linebackers that have to pay attention to where Deebo Samuel is going. And without that, I don't know how much more effective he could be. It makes the reads so much easier when those guys are paused even for a fraction of a second. If the linebackers are a fraction of a second from getting to their drop,
Mhm.
the window is open. And it's more of a collegiate window that you're throwing to.
Yeah.
Right? And without freezing those guys, it's going to be really damn hard to find a guy who can freeze a defense like Deebo Samuel did.
Yeah, and it's, again, if you have those questions that your quarterback can't operate without one of the most unique weapons in the league, and then another very great wide receiver in Ayuk, and also a great tight end in Kittle,
Yep.
and also one of the best multi-purpose players in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey. I'm not paying you that much money.
Okay, if now $49 million, if you go to the current quarterbacks who are under
Mhm.
contract right now, and you went average annual salary, and if it was $49 million, I'm not going to try to guess what cap hits would be because of
No,
the way that
just-
you
yeah.
front load or back load contracts. If he got $49 million a year, that would slot him 10th in the National Football League. He would be behind Jalen Hurts, just ahead of Kyler Murray for the average annual salary. He'd be ahead of Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes at $45 million because he has a 10-year deal. Does that seem more fair when you look at what the market is telling people? Because you said 30, and 30 would put him 19th in the league, behind Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers right now, ahead of Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew, Caleb Williams.
To me, Baker's a better quarterback.
Baker is a better quarterback, but Baker also is a guy who he took the
Bounce around path.
and there were so many bad years. He had to take that deal because he is kind of similar to that Brock Purdy in that the weapons around him make him much better.
I think there was an evolution though for Baker. Like we've seen Baker win games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure I've ever seen Brock Purdy be the guy that won you a game. He's been very good.
I think that he has made the throws in consistent throws to win games, but the other guys get the credit because they're the bigger names. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle,
And again,
Deebo
I
Samuel.
don't think he's a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
Like for anybody freaking out, it's just I don't think he's that level of quarterback. And if I'm the Niners and you have all of this money committed and you were in it, I'm just not willing to go that high.
I think 40 is probably 40 is the number. 49 is you're putting him top 10. 40 would put him 15th in the league. 15th in the league. That makes you have him around a middle of the pack salary of starting quarterbacks. It is a fair deal, and there is with the cap just jumped $22 million this year. Right? It's not going to jump $22 million next year because this is the new TV money coming in, but it's going to continue to rise, and $40 million seems like it is a good deal to have him on.
It feels like a little rich for me, but that's at least more in line with where I would go.
Is Purdy, because of his age, the guy where maybe you give him 45, but you lock him up for a while, where like right now, hey, 45 might be a little bit too much for Purdy, but if let's say you give him a 7-year deal, right? Because he's 26. So let's say you give him that 7-year deal, he's in his mid-30s by the time it ends. That deal, with the way the cap's been going up and the way QB pay has been going up, actually probably looks like it's a pretty good deal on the back end. So maybe that's something that you could do. Or you can move around the numbers so like the average annual value is 45, but it's backloaded, right? So he'd get more each year as it keeps going. I think it's risky to have like a set number with Purdy and then be like, okay, we're going to move on, because you fell backwards into Brock Purdy.
You did.
You had a guy that you gave up 3 first-round picks to go up and get, and he's been horrible, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that easy to say, well, we'll let Brock walk and find someone better.
You're not going to find another Brock Purdy off the street because the weapons are, one, aging. And this is the big thing with San Francisco, is that if you think you could just replace Brock Purdy with anybody, you can't, because you found a diamond and you've squeezed as much as you can out of him, which was going to a damn Super Bowl, having a lead in that Super Bowl, and him not being the reason why you lost that Super Bowl, okay? You also, if you bring in a new quarterback and you're going to bank on, well, the system and the weapons around him are going to be good enough, there is also the threat of you are going to start new with whoever's learning that system. And
And a
year
Shanahan
one
offense.
to year two,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy now has a mastery of that offense.
Sure.
And you don't want to give that
And
up.
if you want to pay for that being built in, okay.
And I think that 40, I think if you're in that 40, if you're sniffing that $50 million, then you're going to have to make choices on the guys that make him look great too. And the text line is saying, Vancouver Ford text line is saying, hey, look at his numbers. They speak for themselves. So 2023 started 16 games, completed 69.4% of his passes, 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 28 sacks. 2024, with everything falling apart around him, he completed 66% of his passes for 3,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So
he's Kirk Cousins.
it was no. I mean, Kirk Cousins, here's the thing about Kirk Cousins is Cousins is billed as a guy that is a top-tier quarterback. And Kirk Cousins loses big games. No. Brock Purdy doesn't lose you big games.
That's fair.
His numbers...
But I'm talking numbers-wise.
Well, Kirk Cousins' numbers are phenomenal.
Oh. But
it's just in big moments,
the
big
whole
games.
Idea of like, look at the numbers.
Yeah,
like,
but it's big numbers, big games.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins lets his team down.
Yeah.
Brock does not have that body of work. I know what you're saying numbers-wise, but the idea of he's Kirk Cousins, he is not Kirk Cousins in that regard.
No, I'm just talking numbers. Solely numbers.
So pay Purdy.
Which
don't pay him $50 million or $49 million because then that becomes punitive, right?
Yes. And they already have so many other things to deal with.
Oh, man. We have more quarterback news and some cornerback news coming out of the Combine as well. Matthew Stafford and where he may land. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
It's the
All right, coming out of the combine as they get ready to run their 40s, lift their weights, do their interviews, is the future of Matthew Stafford with the Los Angeles Rams. This one is going to be up in the air. And the Rams are like, all right, you want to go and see where you can get elsewhere? Go ahead, dude. Well, more power to you. You brought a Super Bowl ring. We'll try to do right by you. Matthew Stafford apparently is wanting upwards of $50 million a year. Times are good for Matthew Stafford. He is old. I think he's at 37 years old, but still got a lot of gas left in the tank. If you saw what the Rams were able to do against the Eagles, they gave the Eagles their toughest shot throughout the playoffs this year. And that was on the heels of the wildfires in LA, kind of upheaval everywhere. They had to go from Arizona back to LA, then over to Philly to get that game in Philadelphia. And now, if he wants $50 million, that's going to be kind of a bridge too far for the Rams with the cap situation. So they are allowing him to go and explore various trades. And Diana Rossini is reporting over the last few weeks, he's attracted significant interest from teams, and notably 2 of them, the Raiders and the New York Giants. There's now other reports that are coming out that are saying that, hey, the Rams might drive up that asking price and say, hey, we'll give it a whirl with, if he wants $50 million, we may do it and just kind of play chicken in this game. But a report came out that the Giants are kind of putting all their eggs in the we're going to get Matthew Stafford basket. And with Brian Daboll, with the misses that they've had at the quarterback position, they are undoubtedly looking for a bridge quarterback in New York.
I don't get that, though. Like, I guess the only reason that they would look for the bridge quarterback is they know in Daboll and in Shane, if they don't figure it out, they're fired. Like, the fact that they weren't fired this last year is kind of lucky for them. So I understand why they'd make the move for Stafford. But if I'm Stafford and I'm looking around the league, I don't know that there's a team, maybe save for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where if they come a-calling, that would be a better option than what LA has right now. Like, you have one of, if not the smartest offensive minds in all of football. Your defense just got rebuilt through one of the crazier drafts that has ever happened for a franchise. I mean, you took back-to-back defensive line prospects from the same college, no less, and they completely turned around that defensive line, right, in Fisk and Verse. So why would you leave? I understand that you don't technically fit their new timeline, but you prove that you can win.
You got your ring. And now it's, all right, apparently you get that money. If you're looking at if the allure for Stafford is Vegas has the second most salary cap space in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They have a tight end that they know is dynamite. And really, it's a Tom Brady thing, right? If the allure of Tom Brady is enough, you're playing for Pete Carroll. You know that what the offense will be under Chip Kelly is run first and take some shots second. They have big problems there. You have a young tackle and a center that you believe in. But outside of that, you have no wide receivers. You need a running back. You have a tight end in Brock Bowers, and that's about it weapons-wise for Vegas. There's a lot of holes that by the way, you've got to go through Kansas City, Denver, and the Chargers. All 3. One is a dynasty. The other made the playoffs in year 1 with a rookie quarterback and appear to be improving dramatically in Denver. And then you have the Chargers, which they took big leaps forward this past year without any wide receivers. And by all accounts, they're going to rectify that either with a receiving tight end or at the wide receiver position. If they get a guy like Mel Kiper Jr., we talked about his mock draft yesterday. It was Tetairoa McMillan. Yeah, that's going to be a really good pick if he falls to 22, right? That path is a gauntlet to go through. You think of the Giants. That path is not going to be a cakewalk either, because of the fact that you have the Philadelphia Eagles in division. You have the Washington Commanders, who are young. They have the 3rd most salary cap space. very easily could be getting Myles Garrett this next year.
Mm-hmm.
You have an offensive line that does need to be overhauled in New York. Going your way, though, is you do have Malik Neighbors on the outside, who appears to be that dude. But you have a franchise that they are desperate to win. And if they can revamp the offensive line a little bit more, and they've got $45 million in cap space to kind of work with and toy with there in New York, that's going to go away pretty quickly with Matthew Stafford's contract, though, right? And it can evaporate in an instant. This will be an interesting one to see how it develops and to see if maybe Matthew Stafford has a change of heart and says maybe the grass isn't always greener on the other side, because of the fact that Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay, they could be going O-line in the draft this year as well, because tackles could be sliding down their way. The Stafford domino is one of the biggest dominoes that we could see falling. 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Let's go to college football to start hour number 2, because the state of Oregon is stepping up to the plate on a topic we talked about yesterday. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, your Portland Trail Blazers. They're back in action today on the road, taking on the Washington Wizards. Right now, the Wizards are the worst team in the NBA. No Robert Williams. He's been ruled out with a knee injury. Could be returning in the next game, however. The Blazers are favored by 5.5. Tip-off for that game at 4. No Joel Embiid for the 76ers. They're taking on the Knicks tonight in Madison Square Garden. New York is favored by 9.5. Tip-off for that game is at 4. Over in college basketball, the Oregon State Beavers are hosting the San Francisco tonight in the last regular season week of WCC action. Their conference tournament gets underway next Thursday. Oregon State needs a victory if they want to jump into the 4th seed for the WCC tournament. Right now, the Beavs are a half game behind Santa Clara for that coveted 4th seed. OSU is favored by 3.5. Tip-off at 8. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The ultimate basketball party, Fan Madness, is back. March 20.
Dusty Bun?
Dusty Hera.
I've been really busy. I'm trying to save the world from Russians and monsters.
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader.
Of course you have.
1080
I want to hear it.
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, or youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. Party on, party people. Coming up this hour, we will give away tickets to the Wu-Tang Clan. Hell yeah.
For the children.
It is for the children. So be ready for our liner. Wu-Tang is for the children. And then we'll give you the code word to text in if you want to go see Wu-Tang Clan July 1. We were talking NFL scouting combine, the latest rumblings with both Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford. We'll have more on the combine coming up in a little bit. But something we talked about yesterday, the landscape shifting. There's 3 potential, one's a legal case, and 2 are transformative proposals to the world of college sports that could absolutely shatter what we know of college sports right now. It would essentially be the elimination of the NCAA. One of them is a court case where a cornerback, Corey Colley at NC State, is suing the NCAA for additional eligibility, saying you can't stop my right to earn money playing college football just because you have this arbitrary rule of I can only play 4 years. Mm-hmm. So you have that one. The other one is the U.S. Soccer Federation is working with 32, apparently, schools in college soccer to make a men's super league, essentially, in a year-round soccer league, which would be
with
dramatically
guidance
different.
from U.S. Soccer and possibly FIFA.
And maybe FIFA, and big funding from U.S. Soccer. But we also talked about the latest on the Power 4, and really the Power 2, Big Ten and SEC, taking hold of college football and creating a completely separate organization that would be operating under an LLC that would be a governing body. It would be enforcement. It would be guardrails up against the world of college athletics and where NIL and the salary cap is going. And they would take all of the enforcement in with penalizing schools by the millions of dollars, taking away salary cap money for every dollar you go over.
Transfer slots.
You've got to go. You get that dollar amount taken away the next year if you're over the cap. Transfer and limiting transfers. But another one in this, and yesterday when we were talking about this, I said, this is going to be the biggest hurdle to climb if you don't have antitrust protection. And it is, they want to have a third party come in any NIL deal outside of the salary cap, that $20.5 million we've heard about. They want a third party to come in and basically give a fair market value assessment and say, nope, this is too much money. You can't be given that in NIL to an athlete.
They want communism in the NIL space.
They want to stop it and say, that's not fair market. How you can't pay him that much money. Well, the state of Oregon yesterday, there was a bill proposed. It is House Bill 3694, and it is aimed to basically keep the NCAA or any other organization from requiring college athletes to disclose NIL agreements if the agreements have non-disclosure confidentiality provisions. Essentially, what that means is that any college athlete in the state of Oregon would not, by Oregon law, be required to go through that third party, and that is a crotch chop to a rule that doesn't even exist yet in college sports.
And that's, we know where that's coming from, in the sense of Oregon has gotten to where they are because they've managed the NIL space damn near better than anybody else in the country, and they're going to sit there and go, we're not going to allow, the leverage that we've gained to be knocked back because somebody in the SEC doesn't like it.
And this is exactly how NIL came to be in the first place, right? Remember, it was state by state. They were going through, and each state was passing legislation saying, nope, NIL is
Tennessee,
legal in our state.
Georgia,
Oregon was
Ohio.
one of the first, and Oregon was one of the loosest with it, whereas like high school kids can get NIL deals if they want. Like, we're not going to stop.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop at college. Like, if you're a high school kid, you can get name, image, and likeness. Yep, you can get it too. It's like Oprah. You get an NIL. You get an NIL. You get an NIL. Well, now we're seeing state by state this is happening. Remember, Georgia, they came over the top and they said, yeah, we're going to be tax exempt from NIL. Illinois did the same thing, and they said, no, we're going to make sure NIL is around and here to stay. What the state of Oregon is proposing in this House Bill 3694 is, yeah, if they want to put that guardrail up that there's going to be a clearinghouse and they're going to tell you, no, you can't earn this money.
You don't have to participate.
You don't got to do it. By our laws in the state of Oregon, no. And this is what happened with NIL in the first place, was the NCAA said, oh, crap. Now we just have to let it go because so many states were coming in
fighting against it.
And you're already seeing the pushback to having that clearinghouse even exist.
As they should. Like, I get the whole putting the guardrails around whatever we want to call this new Super Cup, world of 70 or 80 teams in college football, the top 75, top 80, whatever it is. But the whole idea that you can put a cap on earnings, hell no.
No,
hell no.
When I read that in the article, I was like, I'm
It's a
on board.
non-starter.
I'm on board with a lot of the things they're talking about, right? If you have that $20.5 million in money that you can spend on all of your sports, great. If you want to have...
That's money that's being generated by those players playing those sports, and it should go back into those exact same coffers and not into the pockets of the NCAA.
If you want to go, hey, we're going to ding you $1 million because you went over $1 million.
Fine.
Yep. If we're actually going to have real and legitimate punishments towards coaches, not the student athlete, for the transgressions of the university. But yep, I agree with that.
It's
I
an
agree with that.
IQ test. It's like the drug test in the NFL. It's like, look, you've got X amount of dollars to work with. Don't fudge it. And if you're going to go outside that, do it in your freaking NIL. Don't be so stupid to think that you could kind of massage it over here and a little bit there, and then, we can get away with this. No, they should make that punitive, and if you're going to operate outside that on the NIL space, then go do it. I don't have those built-in advantages that whether it's Oregon's NIL or living in Texas tax-free or being in Georgia tax-exempt, that's how this country works.
Yeah, they're not.
You move to different places. You go to different places based on different rules and exemptions and allowances that will allow you to chase your dream and how you see fit. That is the fundamental basis of this country.
What they want to do in whatever the new organization that runs college football or college athletics outside of the NCAA, whatever this LLC that they're going to be putting together is, they want to eliminate the haves and the have-nots. That is inherently against capitalism, though. So if you're going to be paying student athletes, they're going to be able to get the money, and fair market value is whatever the market says.
That's exactly what fair market value is.
And so
if one person's willing to pay it, ladies and gentlemen, ding, 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 market value.
And so I appreciate this rule. I think it'll be good, not just for Oregon, but I think it'll be good for Oregon State as well, especially in the landscape of like baseball, right? Because if we all know that the big chunk is going to be going towards football, men's basketball, and then women's basketball is going to be getting a big chunk of it as well. If the third party of NIL can start peeling off more money for recruits, that's really good for a well-funded program that has motivated and great boosters and followers as well. So I think it'll be a boon for both of the local big schools here in Oregon and Oregon State. All right, 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. I got fun with audio. NFL edition. Maybe Dan Campbell has a meeting not with a potential draftee this week, but
a specialist.
He's a mover and shaker. That's for sure. Yeah, that's one thing that is for sure. And a little bit more news coming out of the NFC North. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080, The Fan.
Wu-Tang is for the children.
Oh, there it is. That is your cue to text KIDS to 503-864-6326. That is KIDS to 503-864-6326 right now to enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Wu-Tang Clan with Run the Jewels July 1st at Moda Center. Head to 1080thefan.com for complete details. We got tickets all week long, pair of tickets in the 1 o'clock hour for Wu-Tang Clan with Run the Jewels. When you hear
Wu-Tang is for the children.
text KIDS to 503-864-6326. Kids, because Wu-Tang is for the children.
It is indeed.
And we didn't want you to have to text children in, so we just went with kids.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you have to explain in
Yeah.
court why you kept texting children into a number.
Yeah, kids is totally fine. Totally fine. All right, we have fun with audio, NFL Draft Combine Edition. Everybody at this time of year is looking for the advantage, right? This is when you go deep into your self-scouting. This is when you go down the roads of, all right, what do we need to do to get better in our process in the National Football League? TikTok has given Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions potentially the greatest advantage that you could ever have.
A one that nobody else has.
I give you right now the one and only, he may be the next big name in sports. His name is Scott Constable.
My name is Scott Constable. I've got a strength that you've never seen before. I have a system that creates new neural pathways, realigning the rules, values, and beliefs of a person. I do this by linking the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the nervous system all together. You can actually see the new neural pathways connecting to the brain. You will start to see colors like whites, yellows, reds, greens, blues. I know what all these colors mean. I can prove this to you in one 5-minute meeting. I want to look at you when I talk to you. Let's break bread, Dan Campbell. Let's break bread.
Okay. Beyond the content,
Dude, I need 2 drops out of that.
have you ever seen the movie Red with Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he not sound like the Richard Dreyfuss character
Yeah.
when they play the recording?
No doubt
of
about
like
it.
him giving the speech of like, here at the whatever arms dealers, we
No
pride
doubt
ourselves.
about it.
It's the same voice. It's the same cadence.
Yeah.
It is like, when you first played it earlier today, I was like, is that Richard Dreyfuss? That was
Yeah.
the first thought that popped into my head.
I'm going to let you know right now. He looks exactly like you would think he looks
Yeah.
too. I need 2 drops out of that. Will. I need Let's Break Bread, obviously. And I need to look into your eyes. I need those 2 things as drops.
What's his name?
Scott Constable, which is a power name too. Like if you want to go how this man is coming up with ways to reprogram and rewire the neural pathways to where you can see colors, white, yellow, greens, and blues. Dude, Scott Constable is your man. There's no other person in this world that I feel would be better than Scott Constable at doing that.
And I love that he's wearing a Lions shirt while he's doing it.
Well, yeah, there's a reason why he only wants to talk to Dan Campbell about this. He wants to give the Lions, he wants the Motor City Kitties to have every advantage that they possibly can.
Literally one of the first comments underneath this, break bread is obviously code for eating a copious amount of mushrooms.
Dan Campbell on shrooms would be a thing.
I feel like as much as I love Dan Campbell, and I love Dan Campbell, that's a bad trip.
Nah, I think it might be I think he may go.
I don't know if DC's the guy that, like, I've never done psychedelics in my life.
Yeah.
It's not, now that it's like remotely legal, I've thought about the idea of like, okay, maybe I'll do it in a seriously controlled environment, one and done kind of situation.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell is very, very, very low on the list of people that I would want to trip balls with my very first time.
You're telling me you couldn't see Dan Campbell on like a vision quest out in like a teepee in the middle of the desert?
Oh,
where
I could.
They give them like shrooms and peyote and just say, go find yourself.
This is the guy that was like talking about eating kneecaps. You might actually eat kneecaps.
Yeah, good point. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, like I feel like
He actually comes back riding an actual lion. Like, where'd you get that? He's like, don't worry about
don't
me.
worry about it. He looks like the kind of guy that would peel somebody's skin off when you're talking about like having a bad trip.
Yeah, I see that.
You know what I mean?
I see that.
Just like, and he looks like he has the power to do so.
Oh, he definitely does. He's a strong,
It's a large
human
dude, still working out.
Played tight end in the NFL for several years, and it looks like a workout warrior.
Yes.
Still but we saw on Hard Knocks, he does push-ups with the team.
Yeah, love
He does up downs. He does push-ups. He's
Love
not
it.
going anywhere. Let's go. I think now that Vrabel is back in the NFL, we have like a legitimate
High T coaches are making a return, baby.
yeah. Who wins in a fight? I mean, Campbell or Vrabel.
Because
Campbell's got longer levers, but
you've got
Vrabel has leverage.
You look around the NFL, you've got a lot of guys now. You've got the Shanahans, the McDaniels.
Dan Quinn
Dan Quinn
he could
is
give you a
still,
run
like,
for your money.
McDermott
McDermott in Buffalo was like I don't know if he was a national champion. He was a state champion high school wrestler, wrestled in college.
I forgot about that. But there's a lot of littler guys though too working
Yeah.
these sidelines. Ben Johnson's not a real big guy. Tomlin's older.
Squat's 405 though.
Does he?
That's what he claimed today on his interview.
Well, he
That's pretty impressive.
Ass to grass, but to ankles is what he said.
dude, that's actually not good for your knees.
Yeah,
They've
full
kind of
lockout,
gotten
not-
rid,
yeah.
they've gotten rid of that
Disagree.
to go that low. It's bad on your joints, dude.
Disagree. You're not watching knees over toes guy. You're too busy with Mary Kate. You're not over here getting your knees healthy.
With 405 pounds, it's not healthy, bro. It's not healthy.
I don't know.
It's not healthy.
He seems to be doing okay.
I think, if you're
McVay's he's a bulky little guy.
by division, I think the NFC West gets their butts kicked the fastest.
Oh yeah, 100%. Look,
you got Gannon, you've got McVay, Shanahan, and then I think Mike McDonald wins that fight.
Yeah,
Mike McDonald's still, he looks like he's still put together.
McVay's in pretty damn good shape.
Nah, I mean, he's marrying supermodels.
Yeah,
so,
you're
you know.
a little too pretty to scrap. A little Ryan Gosling in him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Boy, I'm not gonna lie, the NFC South might get their butts kicked too. Where you got Raheem Morris, Dave Canales, Kellen Moore,
Oh yeah,
and then Todd Bowles.
Yeah,
like that's coming down to Bowles and Morris. And
yeah.
we're gonna see who
AFC
comes
West
out of
isn't doing great. Andy, Pete, Harbaugh.
there. Well, that's Harbaugh's division.
Yeah.
And then Sean Payton.
Payton,
That's
yeah.
Harbaugh's division to lose. I mean, Harbaugh
It's-
is.
but
he's fighting dirty.
Not only that, that's an old division.
Yeah. Andy Reid is just gonna sit there and be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not. I opt out. I tapped before. I'm just gonna go eat this cheeseburger over here. The NFC North. Well, you got Ben Johnson, who apparently squats 405 pounds. Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur,
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell's a big ass dude.
That's probably our winning division. It's probably our winning division.
And then the AFC East.
You've got Vrabel.
Well, you have Vrabel in New England. You have Aaron Glenn in New York.
Ooh.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, see that's the.
And then you have Sean McDermott. Dude, that's a good
NFC
division.
North, AFC East. Those are our two powerhouses.
And then Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, and oh my God, Kevin Stefanski.
That's
in
our
the
most
AFC
well-rounded division.
Yeah.
There's no weak links in that division.
Boy. D'Amico Ryans is winning the AFC South.
Yeah, we're walking away with it.
Because Liam Cohen.
Yeah, no.
Liam Cohen is in there.
Duval.
Did you see their GM?
Callahan and then Steichen. Yeah, no, I'm taking D'Amico Ryans.
Did you see the Jags, the guy they put up on the podium, their GM?
No.
He looked like he was 24 years old.
Well, yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, they hired him away from the Rams.
I mean, it looked like a child up there. It was startling.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I've never seen a general manager look that young on something that wasn't esports.
He's older than me. He's in his 30s.
I'm just saying he looked incredibly young.
Let me see this.
It caught me off guard.
I want to look at you when I talk to you.
Yes. Tell me that doesn't sound exactly like him.
Oh, that is so bad.
It sounds exactly like him.
Let's break bread. I want to look at you when I talk to you.
That sounds like
Let's
Richard
break
Dreyfuss.
bread.
I mean, oh my God. It sounds exactly like him. Are you seeing this picture?
Yeah, James Gladstone.
Yeah.
He does look very young. He's 34.
He looks like
he's
a
got
kid.
a baby face. He does, and now I'm looking at the combine. He looks even younger at
Yeah.
the combine. Yeah.
That's the first time I saw a video or a picture of him, and I'm like, who is this? Like, I thought it was a PR guy.
Yeah. You thought it was Brick Johnson?
Yeah. It's like, what is
Woody Johnson's kid?
What is happening here?
I call the shots here. No, he is a baby face, but I mean, he worked 9 years for the Rams, dude.
So from what? He said he's 30.
He's 34, so he's 25 when he got
25?
when he got hired by the Rams.
Crap.
That's a pretty good run, dude.
Got a Super Bowl in there.
That's cool, dude.
Good place to be.
Yeah, man. I think he's gonna do an okay job.
34 running a team is crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, it's the way it's going.
I know.
Skewing all younger.
I'm-
All the old heads are going to college sports now.
Yeah,
You
Jim
see
Nagy.
Jim Nagy, who he was up for the Jets general manager
Mm-hmm.
job. He got hired as the University of Oklahoma's GM today. That's going to be actually a really good hire
Mm-hmm.
in this world of GMs because of the fact that he runs the Reese's Senior Bowl. He's
already familiar with the process.
connections
Yeah.
throughout. And look, the Reese's Senior Bowl kind of took over as like the preeminent senior game, farewell game, because it's not actually seniors anymore. But I wonder if they lose a little bit of their luster because they gained a ton of traction. It was actually a good product and was a really good
The guys that showed
showcase.
up, like it was dudes.
Yeah. And even guys that didn't play, they showed up, did the workouts, did practices, full padded, and they
Got
did
the
the
tape
meet and
and-
greets with teams and they were out.
It was a good place to be.
Yeah, that was interesting. All right, so who are we taking to win? We're taking our battle of the coaches. NFC North, by far. Like in a Royal Rumble situation where they're all teamed up, I think the NFC North is beating up everybody.
AFC North, though, is pretty strong.
The AFC East is the next contender.
Yeah, with Glenn,
Vrabel, and McDermott.
Yeah.
And then Mike McDaniel just sitting there like being stoned. I don't know, like just being he'd take some guys out low. I bet he fights dirty. He definitely fights dirty.
He's going for eyes, throat, nuts.
He'll lull you into thinking that everything's okay, and then
He's gonna have a plan of attack.
He'll kick you in the shins with
He's
his
an Ivy
Yeezys.
League guy.
Yeah, he'll analytic you. Analytic you.
Analyze you.
He'll beat you with analytics.
There you go.
I want to look at you when I talk to you.
That's what he'll do. Good God.
And then there's Andy Reid.
Let's break bread.
All the macaroni and cheese. Goodness gracious.
Thank you, Scott Constable.
Coming up on our worst day on the web. TikTok trends I typically don't acknowledge, but when they get this dumb, we just kind of have to call them out and we go, maybe they were right to eat the Tide Pods. But first, here's Big Will Betts with a Sports Center update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, a couple big games in college basketball tonight at 6. Texas is traveling to Arkansas to take on Coach Cal and the Razorbacks. Right now, according to ESPN's Bracketology, both Texas and Arkansas are just inside of the bubble. They are both projected to barely make the tournament. Arkansas is favored by 2.5 in this one. That game can be heard on 910 ESPN Portland. Oregon State Beavers are hosting San Francisco tonight. It's the last week of WCC regular season action before their conference tournament gets underway next Thursday. Oregon State, they need a victory. Right now, they're a half game behind Santa Clara for that 4th seed in the WCC tournament. OSU is favored by 3.5. Tip-off is at 8. And your Portland Trailblazers are on the road today. They're in the nation's capital taking on the Wizards. They're the worst team in the NBA right now. The Wizards just got their 10th win. No Robert Williams III. He's been ruled out with a knee injury. The Blazers are favored by 5.5. Tip-off is at 4. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080. The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time, Tuesday. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks!
Look, social media trends are always very dumb. Like as I referenced before we went to the break, the idea of the Tide Pod Challenge.
Wait, what? Have you ever done a social media trend?
The only one I ever did was the Ice Bucket one, and we actually did do it to do money.
Oh, yeah. The Ice Bucket Challenge, I've done that.
That's the only one I can ever.
You never planked?
Just for random? No. I've done plenty of plank workouts.
Did you owl?
Oh, where you just perch up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope.
No, wait, I
didn't
just
do either of
we
those.
just called that being drunk.
I'm trying to think. Tide Pods. Nope. Didn't do that.
No.
Didn't do that.
We just did a lot of stupid stuff when we were kids, but we just didn't record it or have a trend around it.
During COVID, oh, that's ridiculous. Yes, it did. Yes, we did. It was called in high school doing all the Jackass movies.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, those were. I don't even count that. But that was our version of it. During COVID, I did a TikTok dance with my family because we were just locked in a house.
Mm.
To
Do
make
you remember
crazy
which
things.
one?
No, have no idea.
Can we do the
Still
tortilla
don't know
challenge?
which. Is that the
Ooh.
spicy chip?
No. I guess
No.
technically I have done
Tortilla
one
chip?
because I did do the spicy chip.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
we
yeah.
did the
I lost-
spicy noodles too.
Yeah, but I mean that was just more of a.
Oh, we did
this
do
is-
spicy noodles.
But that was more of a. This is like a cool thing.
Oh,
more than anything
okay.
else. It wasn't really a challenge. The spicy chip challenge.
Well, no, that was a trend though. Was that whatever it was that we bought and we ate here? That's those spicy noodles. That was like a trend of.
I still have some at home too.
Those were good. Those were
Yeah, I
not
thought
too
they were
spicy.
tasty.
Those were not too spicy.
But the spicy chip one, it sucked. It was not fun.
Okay.
I lost a bet.
Mm-hmm.
Had to do that one. The tortilla challenge is the one where you have water in your mouth and you puff out your cheeks like a chipmunk and you slap them with the tortilla.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not doing that
Why not?
because I'm a grown man with children. Like I'm not.
No,
Doing
there's
that.
yeah, you let
there's
your
grown,
kids
there's
hit
grown
you.
there's grown parents who are doing
Yeah.
this. Yeah, it's
I'm still not doing
it's
it.
pretty funny.
The other one with kids too is like you have like a little kid and you start like by cracking eggs and you tell them how to like crack an egg, and instead of cracking the egg on the bowl like you tell the kid to, you crack it on the top of their forehead. That one makes me laugh too.
The cheese challenge is fun.
The cheese challenge is hilarious.
What is this?
Crying kids.
Oh,
take
you
a
throw
craft
cheese
single,
at 'em? Yeah.
Stick it on their face. They
I
just
can't
stop
wait
crying.
to practice it.
Yeah. You don't do that when you teach.
Tell them to shut up.
Will's like
Throw
got
a craft single across the room.
Will's rolling into elementary school with like a brick of craft singles, and they're like, "What do you got? Dodgeball today in PE." There'd be a lot of crying kids. I'm gonna dot them right on the forehead.
No crying kids in kindergarten on Monday. We were good.
Hey, good for you.
No
man.
need for cheese.
What's the latest trend?
A TikTok trend of taping or streaming people dropping heavy objects on their feet
Oh no,
and then grading the pain scale.
nobody likes that. Nobody likes that.
And we're talking like things that they're dropping are like air fryers and toasters. And then grading it on a pain scale of like what hurts more. Have you seen the guy that does who's the guy that does the actual pain index? Because it's actually a thing. Like he's the one who said like the bullet ant is like the most painful thing that you can get, or one of the most painful things you can get bit by.
These people are morons.
Again, this is why I just say let Darwin take its course, man.
Yeah,
Just-
I mean, natural selection, only the strong survive, and that means between the ears too, folks.
Look, that's honestly that's where you're thinning the herd the easiest.
man.
It's the lemmings that walk off the cliff, man.
But this isn't like killing anybody, which is a good thing. Noted.
Not
The good
yet.
thing.
I was saying,
Not
yeah.
yet.
There's always remember the milk crate challenge.
But all this is doing is
That was great.
all you morons are going to just break your foot and be like in a walking boot.
Oh, and that's the thing is like a podiatrist is cited. This is out of Scotland, I believe. in
We
the
need a
Herald.
podiatrist to chime in on this.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, you're doing lifetime harm. Like if you're just like randomly dropping stuff on your feet and like breaking, like because I don't think people realize how many bones you have in your feet and hands. There's a lot of bones in there.
A lot of bones.
There's a lot of stuff to
A lot
break,
of bones,
man.
yeah.
And when you break that and you end up having to get it like fused,
Mm-hmm.
it is you become Bill Walton.
Like unless you have the steel toe boots, don't do this.
Oh, they're doing it barefoot.
I know, morons, absolute idiots. For what? So people will like your TikTok. You'll get your views.
I mean, you're dropping toasters. You're only a couple steps away from the toaster bath. Don't be a dummy.
That's the toaster bath challenge next.
Yeah.
Do you think this is where we see Mary Kate again? She doesn't go into a podcast. She just does this trend.
She's just dropping stuff on her foot and being
Oh,
like,
I mean, that's the pivot to feet pics.
oh, man. I don't know what this one on the Vancouver Ford text line. What about the Nutella orange with the dog blindfold challenge? That is a word salad that does not make sense to me. Nutella orange with a dog blindfold challenge.
I wouldn't.
I don't think I want to Google that.
There's too many. There's too many things.
There's so many ways that they could go.
I mean, I explained to Cooley last week that my search history was the way that it is for show research after the what was it, the meth cannon and what was the other one?
I don't know.
Oh, where are porn studios? Where in California are porn studios located? 'Cause I couldn't remember Van Nuys.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know it's the Valley, but I just can't remember what exact city it was.
When you talked to Cooley, did you say?
I want to look at you when I talk to you.
Yeah. No, but Luke was like, it's Van Nuys, man, and they don't film it there. It's where they do most of the editing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's where the editing bays are.
Why do you both know that?
Let's break bread.
Look, man, there's a whole industry down there.
It is. There's a whole industry.
I think that industry is dying.
I don't know, man. I think it just changed from.
I don't know. Your search history would indicate otherwise.
Disagree. You can come check it out whenever you want, bud. I got nothing
just
to
because
hide.
you use the incognito tab
got
doesn't mean that
nothing
it's
to
not
hide.
there. There,
brother.
pally.
You can still pull it up. The
I
internet
got
is forever.
nothing to hide. You can come search whatever you want.
Incognito and
I
VPN
got
don't hide it,
nothing
baby.
to hide.
Trust me. But yeah, there's a
history.
trend going around, and people are being very dumb.
All right. No. You said Scotland? Is that where this started?
That's where
'Cause
this story is coming from.
Because that'd be a big win for America if this did not start in the United States. I'm going to call it right now. It'd be a big win.
It looks like Greater UK is kind of where this is being.
Yeah, take that.
That's why we left their country.
See, we're getting
among
smarter.
many other reasons. Like this guy's video, there's a video of him dropping a computer monitor on his foot. It has 3.8 million views.
Moron. How does foot end up? Sideways? In half?
He said it hurt, and he said, like, why do you like doing this? He's like, I don't know. I just kind of, I think it's stupid and funny, and I like laughing. Like, he drops a full-on, like, vacuum cleaner.
See, the beauty of America's Funniest Home Videos was like
it wasn't staged.
When the wiffle ball hit the dad in the nuts, it was on accident.
It was just pure magic.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got those guys. Have you seen those guys that have like those content houses together?
Yeah.
And they take turns just beating the living hell out of each other.
Yeah, dude.
House.
That was Bam Margera.
Yeah.
Like that's what that.
And his dad.
That's one thing.
Phil.
His dad, Phil, man.
The stuff he put up with, just being on the crapper. Phil coming in and just slapping him.
Dude, what about when they brought in a metal band while he was sleeping in the middle of the night and just started
going? Look, that, I'm not gonna lie, it's funny.
It was funny, but I would
hilarious.
kill my kid if he did that.
Oh God.
These are also funny. They're also dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I laughed when you were like, he dropped a vacuum cleaner on his foot. That is objectively funny.
No, it's not.
Yeah, why are you laughing?
I'm laughing at you.
Checkmate.
It's full on
funny.
idiocracy. It's full on. It's a half hour of Ow My Balls.
Yeah. Ow My Balls, my favorite show.
There's a YouTube page that makes a lot of money called Fail Nation. Just saying.
It's a weird spot to be. That's all I know with all that. You know what? We talked about this a little bit yesterday in the sense of the returning college players, but we didn't really get to the idea of what Arizona State football is kind of going forward. If you're a coach or if you're a fan or you're looking for a team, is there somebody out there that you're sitting there going, which school am I going to be buying into the most going forward? Is Arizona State at the top of that list? Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
I want to look at you when I talk to you.
1080 The Fan.
As I mentioned yesterday, ESPN's Bill Connelly had his breakout of players and percentage of production returning, and Arizona State was number 2 in the country on that list. 79% of their overall production returning. Cam Scadaboo, obviously not a part of that, but otherwise on both sides of the ball.
That's a big loss.
It is a big loss that you can't overcome. You're talking about a guy who finished, 5th in Heisman voting? I think it was 5th.
Yeah, because he was further away than people thought. People thought he was going to be like the last guy out. Nope.
But, I mean, when you're a top 5 Heisman Trophy,
he was really damn good, man.
That's
he
that's
kept
a dude.
getting better, and he took over the college football playoff, too.
And that was the thing, is on the brightest stage, he shown the brightest. And that's, replacing that kind of guy is tough. But you do have your number 1 wide receiver in Guillory, and you have got your quarterback and Sam Levitt coming back. Like, when you've got that kind of connection, you've got your offensive defensive lines. Those are all things that bode incredibly well for you. And I'll ask you, Dusty, is there a team in the country that you're more willing to buy stock in today going forward in next season than Arizona State?
Well, yeah, there are, but it's not because I don't like Arizona State.
And not as a title
because
contender.
I think that there are, when you talk about playoff teams, the playoff teams that are going to be mainstays, consistent and steady, there's a very long list. Like, all of the teams that Bill Connelly even had in his biggest regression, I'm still buying stock in those teams to be playoff viable teams. There is going to be a lot of fluctuation with Arizona State, even because of the fact that they are now the target. Last year, nobody knew what to expect in the Big 12.
They were picked to finish last. In the Big 12.
Dead last. Because, look, Kenny Dillingham in year 1 was one where it was not pretty, and they got stomped a lot. But you saw that they didn't have a quarterback.
No,
and that was the biggest thing.
And you
They
saw
had
some
zero
signs
quarterback.
of like what they were trying to do.
This year, heading into this year, if you're talking about what the Big 12 looks like, they're going to be gunning for Arizona State. Like, it's Arizona State, it's BYU. Oklahoma State has a ton to prove this year. And you remember, we have a young quarterback returning at Kansas State who they have the little general, Avery Johnson, high hopes for. So, but everybody's going to be gunning for the team that won the conference, right? And that is going to be Arizona State this next year. But I am impressed. I can't tell you, when you watch Arizona State play football, dude, they play hard. Like, it's not just like Kenny Dillingham scheming things up and they finesse you. No, they punch you in the damn mouth over and over again. And when you return it, they have the potential to return 18 starters next year. 18.
Pretty damn good.
Of 22.
In an incredibly volatile college football world where it's increasingly hard to do that anywhere, but let alone a team that was a college football playoff participant.
I said this yesterday on yesterday's show. The thing that they have going for them outside of the 18 returning starters, 16 to 18, is that they have their entire staff returning, and that is invaluable, not just for getting your hooks into this crew, but also on the recruiting path. When you are building relationships over multiple years and it's the same guys that are contacting you with the same school, that actually goes a long way with all of the hopping around that assistant coaches do.
It's the familiarity.
We talk about the transfer portal and guys just jumping around. Assistant coaches are way worse in the world of college football with how few assistant coaches there are comparative to players, and how many of them jump around from school to school looking for the bag, and rightfully so. It's their career. Go make more money. Same thing with the players, though, too. But they have a ton of continuity. They have a lot of returning production. I would buy a lot of stock in Arizona State, man, because also what has happened, we've talked about Arizona State for years, sleeping giant, sleeping giant, sleeping giant. Well, now they've opened up those pocketbooks of their mega donors, and they're getting a lot of money in NIL now coming their way.
And the crazy thing is, did you know that they have the highest enrollment of any school in the country now?
Yeah, it's because they have a massive online contingency. Arizona State's
like
online program
120,000 students
is
a
crazy,
year.
but
It's
their
like,
undergrad on campus is
It's
massive
massive.
too, because they have their Tempe campus, then they have like their satellite campus in Glendale, which is just as big as most schools are. I mean, Arizona State's a massive school, so money is not going to be a problem for them if they can keep this momentum going. But this is the thing with Arizona State. You do it one year. Can you stack one after another after another? Hopefully Sam Levitt is going to be the key to that. And having your quarterback there, the Sun Devils are not going to go anywhere as long as Dillingham can have roster retention, staff retention. They're going to be kind of an outlier in the world of college football, and it's awesome to see because Kenny Dillingham's a hell of a dude too.
It's an interesting place to kind of end up. So when you talk about stock, that's definitely. I'm not buying the most stock in them in the sense of being a title contender.
No.
But as far as like the relative expectations and what they could be, I am. If you're saying like, you can buy X amount of shares, whatever the max is, I'm buying it.
The one thing is how do you respond when you are the hunted, not the hunter?
It is very different. You're right.
And
that is the one caveat.
And that is unfamiliar territory, and that's the territory they're in with the way that they backdoored their way into the Big 12 championship game last year. And then what the effort was that they gave in the college football playoff, incredible. It's going to be interesting. Yep.
Coming up next, Portland Trailblazers take on the Washington Wizards. They are going to hit the softest, juiciest, meatiest part of their schedule. But also, Eric Pincus at Bleacher Report has a one-word summation for all the teams in the NBA. And the one for the Blazers is actually a pretty interesting one. I want to get your guys' thoughts and feedback. We'll get to that here in hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty. Danny Marang here for YHIC. I've got a question.
the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the Portland Trail Blazers are back in action, traveling all the way to Washington, D.C. to play the Wizards. No Robert Williams. He's been ruled out with a knee injury. Blazers are favored by 5.5 for that one. Tip-off is going to be at 4. The Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid are considering options for his injured left knee. Embiid has had multiple surgeries over the course of his career on that knee and has been receiving regular injections this year just to play. The 76ers are going to take on the New York Knicks tonight in Madison Square Garden. Of course, Embiid has already been ruled out for this game. New York is favored by 9.5. Tip-off is at 4. In college basketball, at 6, Texas travels to Arkansas to take on Coach Cal and the Razorbacks. Right now, Arkansas is favored by 2.5. That game can be heard on 910 ESPN Portland. Then the Oregon State Beavers are hosting San Francisco tonight. It's the last week of regular season action in the WCC. Right now, the Beavers are a half game behind Santa Clara for that 4th seed in the WCC tournament. OSU is favored by 3.5. Tip-off for that game is going to be at 8. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black.
Yep, I'm singing again, cause they haven't said I can't. Danny and Dusty love the teams the rest of us revile. Raising a Blazers banner would make it all worthwhile. Noon till 3.
An Odyssey station.
Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty on a Wednesday afternoon. Glorious sun shining through in our first fake spring of the year. And whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. The Portland Trailblazers are in D.C., and in fact, in less than 2 hours, will take on the Washington Wizards. Unfortunately,
can't wait.
The singular reason I was going to be mildly interested in this game was to see Alex Sarr. There was a thought that he was going to come back from an ankle injury and be ready to go tonight. He is not going to be able to go. One thing I was remotely caring about.
No.
I'm like, let me see how Sarr looks. I watch an obscene amount of basketball. I have watched maybe 2.5 Wizards games this year.
They're streaking right now, though.
For them.
Yeah, dude. They've won
a
game.
A game.
Yeah.
10 wins on the season.
So they have the worst point differential in the NBA, minus 13.
Yeah,
the next closest is the Pelicans at minus 8.1.
Mm-hmm. And minus 13 every single night, man. You're getting beat by double digits every single. Like, you're not even remotely in games.
Yeah, they give up 121 a game.
Oh my God, that's so gross.
You're so excited.
Oh God, and if you fall back in the lottery, what was it all for, man?
Cooper Flag, the hope of Cooper Flag.
I know. I get it,
and
but
also,
oof,
their roster sucked at the beginning of the year too. So.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually got out of the hellscape that is Kyle Kuzma somehow. So at least they got that going for them.
They are dead last in both offense and defense. They have the worst offense in the NBA and the worst defense in the NBA.
Well,
that is truly incredible. I will say, though, over the last 2 weeks, 26th, 6th worst offense, 14th best defense.
Well, yeah, because they added Chris Middleton.
And Marcus Smart.
Yeah. Maybe Marcus Smart tries to fart. He tries to fight Toumani Camara tonight. Maybe that happens. If there's a guy who's going to piss Marcus Smart off, it's Tumani Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
Not because because this is the thing with Smart. Smart handles people who are agitators, but it is if he gets into Marcus Smart's kitchen, because here's the thing. Who's Tumani Kamara guard on this team? Jordan Poole?
Poole, Koulibaly, probably those two guys.
Yeah.
Bilal.
If he gets on Marcus Smart at some point, Marcus Smart will throw a fit. And I'm here for it. So
I feel bad for Marcus Smart.
actually, I'm not here for it. I'm not going to watch that.
He went from an NBA Finals team in the Celtics to
Yeah.
up and coming young team that needed some steady
guidance
and leadership in Memphis, and then he was traded away with a pick.
Yeah, exiled
to get off of him to go to DC.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, it is the island of misfit toys. This is where you send your bad contracts to,
and it's bad.
You got Brogdon's deal's not bad, but Brogdon's there, Smart's there, middle. Like that's three, and that's the other thing is the Wizards. They were just bereft of leadership and just common sense, and so that's why they brought those guys in.
Yeah.
But I say all of that. Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report does this. I don't want to say he does it about once a month. He does like a one-word thing for every team in the NBA. And his one-word summation for the Portland Trailblazers was spoiler. And this is the little blurb that goes along with it. The Blazers have found a chemistry that makes them the most likely team to upset your playoff contender facing a must-win game. Portland is a spoiler team of the 24-25 season, and while the franchise still hopes to make the play-in tournament, that may be too much of a reach. I don't think that they hope to make the play-in. I think they like to say that because it sounds fun, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. Whatever the result, the Trailblazers have reason to be optimistic that Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, and the rest could be the next version of the Detroit Pistons. But he's talking about the Pistons this year.
Boy, who's Cade Cunningham?
Denny? Right now? As far as kind of like, but he's not good. He's not the same level as Cade. Not even close. And have you seen what Cade is averaging this year?
Yeah, and he's been in the league for, 3 more years than Cade Cunningham?
Cade, no, Cade just got his deal. So he's only, they're the same class, aren't they? Am I crazy?
I don't know.
His draft year was 21. Yeah, he's 21 NBA draft.
Was he really?
Yeah, no, I was saying Cade got his max deal.
Boy.
Yeah, no, Cade was taken. It was Cade, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs, Giddey, Kuminga, Franz, are your top 8 in that class.
Okay.
So, and Denny was 2019? Question mark.
So 2 more years then. All right.
No, 2020 draft.
2020.
Just a year.
So a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still not.
No.
Cade
But
Cunningham.
no. But Cade's the number one pick for a reason.
But that's the thing is that.
Yeah.
The Blazers don't have a Cade Cunningham.
No.
They don't have a star that you can say, yeah, that's what it's going to be.
No,
it's
you're 100% right.
It's not going to be Scoot either because Scoot has improved dramatically.
And but he doesn't profile as that kind of guy.
Crap on the guy.
No.
But no, he's not. In there, that's okay.
Yeah, no, like.
But they need that star, and that's why even saying we're gunning for the play-in is a, what are we doing?
What's going on?
All right.
But
they are a spoiler, though, and I think that's to the chagrin of some of the fan base. But
they can win on any given night.
That goes to, though, what we've been saying in that if you haven't been seeing the improvements, you're just not watching or you're actively trying not to acknowledge what they have done.
2 has improved. Denny has improved. Scoot has improved. Shaden is the one that you still have the question mark. Like, can he figure that stuff out? I'd say Donovan's improved. Like, if you go up and down the roster of the guys that you're talking about moving forward with, the only one has not made a sizable growth or leap this year, some form or fashion, is Shaden.
And I think that right there, this final sentence of Pincus's like rundown of the Blazers, where he says Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, and the rest could become the next Detroit Pistons.
There's a reason there's a name missing there.
Those names right there should be the focal point moving forward. And everybody else, shut them down, or we don't need to see them for 38 minutes, right? I think that's how a lot of people feel, whether you're talking about Jeremy Grant, hell, even Ant, or DeAndre Ayton, who's not going to be coming back. But if he was able, nope, Robert Williams III, spot minutes will be fine, right? But pushing the other guys to the limit, those are the guys that I think the fans want to see. And if you win games with those guys, then so be it. That's the way that this season is going to go for the Trailblazers. But spoiler being the Blazers, and think about the teams that they're kind of lumped in with, right? Utah gets the growing tag, where we saw that the other night, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are growing, and they are in the middle of a tank of all tanks. Like, they were like, if we play Walker Kessler or Lauri Markkanen, we may not lose this game.
Yeah.
They're not playing against the Blazers, but they were spicy in that one.
Mm-hmm.
The Wizards,
not spicy.
They got tanked.
Yeah.
Tanked is their word. You want to talk about pulling out the plug and just watching the drain? That's it right there.
There is a misery that you cannot fathom that it's flowing through that organization.
No.
It is toxic.
The one that is interesting is for Phoenix, he put danger. That team they lost a game in the 140s last night.
Yeah, well,
200,
299 combined points between them and Memphis in an overtime game. John Morant looking like John Morant again, though.
They're not even in the play-in right now.
Look, if you want to talk about certainties in the NBA, nothing is ever a guarantee or a certainty. How much stock you're buying in Arizona State, whatever money I have left, it is on Kevin Durant not being on that team this summer.
Here's my question. Which is more surprising, Phoenix or Philly not making the play-in even?
Phoenix.
I think it's Phoenix too.
Yeah.
I think it's
even in
Phoenix.
A tougher West, because even with Booker and Durant, like, this has not really been talked about much this season because of all the dysfunction, and a lot of it was laid at the feet of Yusuf Nurkic, which he certainly deserves some blame for how poorly he played. Booker has not been good this year. Like, I shouldn't say that. He's been okay. He has not been Devin Booker. And it's one of those things where, like, I've reached out to some people around the Suns and trying to, what's going on with Book, man? Is this is there something going on off the floor? Like, I don't need to know, but like, is that what's kind of caught? Because typically there are players in the NBA that have down seasons or significantly down portions of their career in a season or of a season. And a lot of people are like, oh, he was you're just playing like crap or this, that, or the other. It's like, no, man, he was going through a divorce, or his mom died, or his brother got shot. Like, it's usually some sort of thing that's very closely and privately held that people outside of even the media don't know about. And like, Booker is playing at that kind of level. The 76ers are just beat to death.
Well, if you were to say at the beginning of the year, hey, Philly or Phoenix, which one doesn't make it? I'd go, well, Philly, because Embiid got hurt.
The volatility.
Guess what? Embiid got hurt.
Did you know that over the last 4 years, Paul George has missed more games than Joel Embiid?
That's probably not surprising. That's not that surprising.
It's crazy, though, isn't it? It's like 156 to 160 games.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because he missed almost the entire year.
It's crazy.
Embiid.
The
part with Embiid is
chunks.
that it starts and stops,
Yeah.
start and stop, and so it's that much more noticeable because he'll go on this run where you're like, "Damn, there's the MVP." Oh wait, what? He's out for 2 weeks, and then hey, here comes the MVP. No,
where
out
Paul
for 2
George
weeks?
kind of falls back to the wayside because he's not even in front of mine because he's not making a return or something like that.
Yikes, dog.
So it's all a very interesting place to be.
The Warriors got Jimmy as their word.
Yeah, they're now 6-1 with him.
Dude, they are going to be
They're tough out.
dangerous.
That's a tough. You don't want to play that team. Steph Curry, for the first time in his entire career, not that he hasn't had weapons or other teammates, my God, but nobody has ever had the rim pressure that Jimmy Butler possesses with Steph Curry. So now you've got somebody you need to worry about who's a human battering ram in Jimmy Butler, while Steph is running circles around the three-point line, and it just stretches your defense out. And you're like, but why? I don't want to deal with this. It's not fun.
Impossible to defend.
Meanwhile, they're playing Draymond at full-time center now, 6'6" center.
That will be their downfall at some point.
You can only play Loon Dog so much, and Trace Jackson Davis is entirely fine,
But you'll have to play Nikola Jokic. You'll have to play potentially Chet Holmgren. When is he going to be back?
He's back.
He is back?
Yeah, he's back. Yeah.
Back.
No, he played in the game the other night against Minnesota.
Hot damn.
Had a really good game in the first game. We didn't talk about this, but the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of got boat raced in the first matchup. Ant Edwards and the Timberwolves came out and punked the Thunder in the second matchup. It was pretty egregious. But, when you're talking about the West, yeah, you've got to deal with bigger teams like the Timberwolves, and you got to deal with bigger teams like the Dallas Mavericks if they ever get healthy. And it's like, yeah, I don't think you could run a 6'6" center for that long.
Nope.
You're
gonna be in trouble.
Reach up
Steve.
and get you.
Maybe if you play the Lakers.
Yeah, they're just Jackson Hayes, who's gonna lob dunk everything.
Whoa, Alex Len.
Oh, that's right.
Don't forget about Alex Len.
Who could? All right, coming up next, it's Wednesday. It's 2:15-ish, which means it's time for Fact or Fluke. Some storylines that we're wondering, are they facts or are they fluky? We'll get to that and more here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. It's Wednesday, it's 2:15-ish, which means it's time for Fact or Fluke, some storylines that we're looking at.
Are they facts or are they flukes? And coming out of the basketball talk, this is something, the zeitgeist, as it were, was dancing around Shaden Sharp and whether or not he should or shouldn't play and how many minutes. And Chauncey Billups hates him, actually, and all that kind of stuff. There's another player that is getting a lot of credit nationally, and we've talked about it more and more. It doesn't feel like a certainty, but it feels like it's heading that way. So fact or fluke, Dusty? Toumani Camara is going to make an all-defensive team this year.
Fact. Not first team. He won't get that because you don't just jump in the first team unless you're a 7-footer that can just swat everything out of the
unless your name is Victor.
Orbit. But I think the amount of respect that Toumani Camara has been getting, it's worthy of a second-team all-defensive NBA.
At this point in time, would be pretty shocked if Toumani Camara did not make an all-defensive team. You would have to make a pretty strong case. I think you would have to make a stronger case for him to not be on that team than you would for him to be on that. Not even, I think. I know you would have to make a stronger case for him to not be on that team than for to be on him. The Portland Trailblazers, over the next 3 weeks, well, hey, we are going to get, I think, what you call the award season full court press from the Blazers to make sure he does make that. If you remember when Marcus Smart won his Defensive Player of the Year and the Celtics doing that, what that kind of looked like, I would imagine the Blazers are probably going to do something very similar to that.
Good.
Because he deserves his flowers.
All right, fact or fluke, Matthew Stafford's career in L.A. is over.
The way that this is going and the number of suitors that are out there and the way the Rams are kind of forecasting this, I think it is over. And it's always more likely that they stay than they go. But here's the thing. There are now reports that Aaron Rodgers would like to go to Los Angeles if Stafford does leave. So you have a ready-made replacement and a guy systematically who could, in theory, at least fit in and would probably be cheaper than $50 million.
$50 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you add all those things up with at least probably 3, maybe 4 suitors for Matthew Stafford, it feels like that's much more likely. So I'm going to say fact.
I'm going to go fluke on this only because we don't know what Matthew Stafford is actually thinking, right? Because if you look at it on the surface of Stafford has had wildly productive years, won a Super Bowl in LA. He may want $50 million.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Rams are doing the smart thing by saying, all right, go. Go see if you want to go and play in Vegas. Go see if you want to play in New York with the Giants.
They didn't tell him no.
Go see if you want to go and do those things, and you want to play with no receivers except for Brock Bowers, with no protection and only a receiver in Malik Neighbors. Go see if that's worth it to you in the back 40 of your career. Okay, and I think Matthew Stafford is going to do that. I think when the dust settles, maybe $50 million isn't going to be the most important thing to him. It shouldn't be at this point. He's made a crap ton of money.
I think it's 350 or 360.
I think that he ends up going back to LA and it'll be on a more team-friendly deal.
The other underrated part about this, what does his wife do? She's a podcaster with all of her podcasting stuff in LA.
That's not hard to back up.
Yeah, I mean,
would she get
when
up
you make a $50 million, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, you can make a really nice studio.
The way that she talks about it, you'd think she ran that thing with an iron fist.
Have you seen her?
With the 2 cities that he is linked to, I don't have a feeling that having a studio or getting guests in New York or Vegas will be difficult either.
As somebody who broadcasted their show from the Blue Wire Studios at the Wynn Casino, it's a studio they spent $3 million on. It's quite a nice space. She could walk in there and have a show right after Max Crosby because they also record out of there. So hell, Max and Matt can do a show together in Vegas, no problem.
Okay.
So there you go. Last one here. The 49ers are making a mistake paying big bucks for Brock Purdy.
What is big bucks? What is big bucks?
$49 million. I'm saying that the reported number that is being floated out there.
That's a mistake. I think if it's 40, if you go down $9 million, $9 million is a lot.
That's a lot. That's a really good position player or multiple pretty good position players.
I think that would be a fact. That would be a mistake if it's up to 49. But I would also say Kyle Shanahan is a guy that if he believes he's worth it, then they'll pay him that money and he'll try to shut us all up that way. But if he thinks that he can do it with somebody else, then they won't give him that money. But I think it would be a lot of very tough decisions that they're already having to make. If you give him 49, you're going to have to make even more.
I'm going to say fact. I am not a Purdy hater. I'm sure I will be lumped in with that group. You and I have talked about this over basically 3 years. I am not somebody who's going to... I would rather go to the bargain bin replacement era quarterback trade-off and try to find one further down the road than be stuck in the Dak Prescott world.
Yeah.
Where you're just paying somebody significantly more than what they're worth.
I'll tell you what, he's no Dak Prescott.
No, he's not. He's not making...
no
What is
Dak
Dak's
Prescott.
what's like 64?
He's making $60 million this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is not Dak Prescott.
And he's not Daniel Jones
And
either.
is he as physically talented as Dak?
No.
No, he's not. He's a better quarterback, though, and there is a difference.
Yes.
There's a big difference there between being physically gifted and being a better quarterback. I got one last one that we got to throw at.
There we go.
Portland State, a half hour ago, announced they are back at Providence Park for one game and one game only. Fact or fluke? Portland State against the Montana Grizzlies on November 15th. That game is. They're back in Providence Park. Fact or fluke? Portland State will play more games in the future at Providence Park.
I'm going to go fact because they're opening that thing up. They're doing concerts there. They're bringing football back there. This is not a single-use stadium anymore for just the Timbers and Thorns. This is something that I think should be happening, and the fact that it wasn't for so long is absolutely insane.
I want it to be a fact. I think the thing about Providence Park and Portland State, Civic Stadium, when they were a D2 program, they used to fill that damn place up.
Yeah.
And it was exciting when they had Pokey Allen in there. I mean, Civic Stadium would be rocking.
I mean, we grew up as kids playing Pop Warner, knowing we play our playoffs at Civic Stadium. It was a big, big deal.
We never did that.
Oh, you never played there?
That.
Oh,
No.
we did.
They've got the problem is the Timbers schedule. They will have 1, 2, 3 games this year during football season, and that's just the Timbers. I haven't even brought up the Thorn schedule. The scheduling is an issue, right? That's going to be a problem. Portland State should play at Providence Park. The fact that they have to go out to Hillsborough and play is
nuts,
ridiculous, and it crushes the ability for students to be able to go to their games consistently. It crushes their home field advantage. They deserve better.
It's vibe
They
killer.
should be able to play at Providence Park. And the fact that what you said, they do concerts there now. The idea that playing a football game is going to be bad for the playing surface, no. Get that out of here when you're putting stages and you're bringing people on and seating on the turf. No. The Portland State Vikings should play their football games at Providence Park. Full stop.
Yeah, period.
Having played Portland State actually in Providence Park when I was in college, I think the one thing that's difficult is always going to be your best case scenario is you get the stadium half filled. And that's always going to be a hard sell, I think, for getting people there, but also for the people who are running Providence Park. Like, I remember going there for the last time they were in the playoffs. They had a home playoff game against Northern Iowa.
Dude, that
half
place
filled.
that was not half filled.
It was
I was
half
there
filled.
too. I was there too. That was more than half filled. on that.
3/4?
That was a fun environment.
Didn't
though.
they play Oregon State there
That
a couple years ago?
No, Montana State, Oregon State played
Oh, that's
there.
right.
Oregon State did play there, but it was okay. So Timbers have 3 games. The Thorns have 1, 2, 3 games.
There's some openings
during football season as well, but all of those are done by November 2nd is the last game. You can figure out a way to put the Vikings back in Providence Park. They need to be back there, even if it's a half full stadium.
It's tough.
But this is the thing. They need to make it an event again.
Yeah.
You know, they had Dreamweaver as the marketing arm behind the football program in the 80s, where they would have the San Diego Chicken coming out to football games. They had, call a play, where there's one play every game, where you had placards, you had cards that the fans would get. One side said run, the other side said pass, and the coaches would turn around and look up, and they would see what play they wanted to run or pass, and then boom, they'd call a run or a pass play based on what the crowd said. You got to do things, maybe not to that extent, but you got to do something creative, make it a more family.
Bringing in Montana is a good thing though too, because you've got a lot. They travel, and you've got a lot of locals here that are Grizz alumni. So, all right, that's Factor Fluke every Wednesday at 2:15. Coming up at after 2:30, the NFLPA report card has been released. This is always a fun one to dive into. The good, the bad, the ugly, fired coaches, hired coaches, ownership, and everything in between. We'll get to that and more. But first, here's Big Will Betts with the SportsCenter update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
SportsCenter is brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, some local teams in action tonight. The Trailblazers, they're on the road. They're taking on the Wizards in Washington. No Robert Williams III. He's been ruled out with a knee injury. Blazers are favored by 5. Tip-off for that game is at 4. Then the Oregon State Beavers are hosting San Francisco tonight. It's the last regular season week of WCC basketball before the conference tournaments get underway. Beavers need a big win here. They're a half game behind Santa Clara for a coveted 4th seed in the WCC tournament. Oregon State is favored by 3.5. Tip-off at 8. NFL scouts, coaches, and GMs are all flocking to Indianapolis for the 2020 NFL Combine. Workouts start Thursday with the D-line and linebackers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free.
It's that part of the NFL calendar where the NFLPA has dropped their report card the good, the bad, and everything else that comes in between from all of the players, that fill out their report cards every single year about a million different things based on their team. The treatment of families, food and dining, nutritionist, dietitian, locker rooms, training staffs, weight rooms, strength coaches. I mean, up and down, ownership, team travel, head coach. I mean, you basically get through everything. And it's interesting because you can find very normal and consistent trends as it pertains to a lot of different things. The Kansas City Chiefs, their locker room last year was the big story out of that, and ownership not being great in the Hunt family. Actually, the Clark Hunt being cheap while spending lavish amounts of money on his luxury box improvements while their locker room looked like it was still from the 70s. The bad owners are going to bad owner. The New York Jets, Woody Johnson finished dead last. They are the only team with an F rating. But not to be outdone, the Carolina Panthers and Arizona Cardinals both fall in at a D-, while an interesting, honestly, 3 interesting ones here all in a row. The Patriots, Steelers, and Bucks round out the other team owners getting D grade or worse.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised to see all 3 of those on there because those are 3 well-run organizations.
Yeah, well, the Glazer family in Tampa is often known as stingy, cheap, not great owners. Robert Kraft has always been known as a cheap owner.
Yes.
Even the 20 years of Brady and Belichick, he was a great owner because of the fact that they won, right?
And they printed money.
But he's always been stingy when it comes to treating how they treat the players and all of the things that go about their cafeteria, their nutrition, and their training staff. They have invested in, but he has not been a guy who has ever gone beyond what he has to do, right? So that one is not that surprising, but he's always seen as a great owner because of the success that they've had there. What is fascinating is you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the grade that they got last year. Well, their ownership is got a better grade this year because guess what happened because of this survey, they ended up going in and saying, all right, we're going to make changes. We're going to help out. We're going to invest because it's embarrassing to the owners to be at the bottom of these, right? When other people are perceived as better. Now, ownership got an F grade last year for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's up to a C- this year because they have announced improvements and made improvements to their locker room. Remember last year it was, we have stools that we sit on in our locker room.
Yes, like the old wooden stools.
And it's ridiculous.
They did get a D- grade. The only teams that got worse, the Cardinals, Browns, Broncos, Commanders. And I would imagine the Commanders
for what?
Locker room.
For their locker room?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that the Commanders will be one that will be drastically improved with new ownership. And I think you give that time to kind of figure that out.
This is going to be, the stadium is a dump.
Yes.
And there's no way you can dramatically improve your locker rooms if you're trying to build a new stadium, and the logistics of building a new locker room, it is a mess in the bowels of that stadium.
Oh yeah,
it's a joke in Washington. So, I think they're just kind of putting it off until they get new facility, until they get a new stadium and all those sorts of things. But I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen is that the improvements, the results of these surveys go a long way to making improvements in ownership, facilities, locker rooms. But I thought, when you look at the teams that got the highest grades, Miami Dolphins, they were number 1 run franchise. So they get the locker room. They get their families are treated phenomenally. They get great training staff. They have a great nutritionist, and they have great training table. That team might be the softest team in the NFL.
Maybe things are too nice for them.
The Vikings, they had a great year, and that one is they're really good. The Atlanta Falcons were number 3. The Las Vegas Raiders were number 4, and then the Los Angeles Chargers number 5. The Spanos family, which is notoriously bad owners, don't care about their players. You want to talk about cheap owners? They are one. The ownership got an A. ownership got an A by their players. Well, that may be because they're paying everybody.
Not only did they pay everybody, they brought in a coach and a culture that helps kind of redefine things.
Jim Harbaugh, of all of the new coaches, was the lowest graded coach by his players.
Which I would imagine that locker room, and every locker room Harbaugh has ever been in, he has absolute diehards that ride and die for him like there is no tomorrow. But the ones that do not vibe, jive, or even come close to matching, picking up what he's putting down.
I also think there's an element of the college coach coming up,
Mhm.
and he got a B+, which is not a bad grade, right?
No.
And one thing that you will see when you go through, it's like graded just like a math homework, right?
Mhm.
A+, A minus, B+, so on and so forth.
There's
all the way down the
4
line.
total F minuses in this entire thing, which is insane.
Players love their coaches.
Mhm.
And that is something that is apparent when you go through this list, because you don't see very low grades from the coach.
There's
because
6 A+.
they know that it's on them. It's not necessarily on the coach as much as it is on them, right? So Harbaugh getting a B+ is actually pretty low comparatively, because the lowest grade is a C. Matt Eberflus got a C, and he got fired. But Harbaugh got a B+. Dave Canales in Carolina got an A-. Mike McDonald and Callahan in Tennessee, they both got A's. A+ for Raheem Morris and Dan Quinn.
Are you blown
New
away
coaches coming in.
that Stefanski got a C?
No, just the way the season ended. Because look, those guys are playing for contracts, right? And what'd they do at the end of the year?
They shut it down.
They did. They shut it down. And that's how you lose a locker room, is when you are playing. Didn't they start Dorian Thompson-Robinson at the end of the year? Not giving yourself a chance to win is the worst thing that you can do in an NFL locker room. That's why you can't tank in the NFL, is because they will turn on you.
Because in other sports, you've got guaranteed contracts.
Everybody is playing for tomorrow in the NFL.
The interesting thing on this, of all of the F- grades, the Cincinnati Bengals got an F- in treatment of families.
Yep. And that's the Brown family. Notoriously
Holy
cheap, notoriously
crap.
awful ownership. Look, they are improving their facilities, and they're finally building an indoor facility in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is great, but they're not going to be treating families very well. I mean, that's the least shocking one on here. Is you talk about order of operations, and we go through this all the time. Jacksonville also got an F. Like, Cincinnati got an F-. Jacksonville got an F for treatment of families.
Which is weird.
It's not, though, because the Bengals are cheap, no-brainer. The Jaguars,
they're not cheap.
They know how to screw it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not cheap. It's more like the Sacramento Kings just doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not that they don't care. They do. They're just making the wrong step. The other F- on here, and this was a bit surprising. The Buffalo Bills, an F- in team travel.
Yeah.
Even worse than the Patriots, who the Patriots are getting roasted for their team playing because there's no Wi-Fi in the plane.
No Wi-Fi and ashtrays in the armrest. That's how old the plane is.
Ooh, buddy.
Yeah.
When did we stop allowing smoking on planes? 90s?
90s. You go into a bathroom, they still have ashtrays in there for some reason. I don't
they
understand
didn't
that.
retrofit that. And
I don't get that.
And you get the messaging of, like, remember, tampering with the device is a federal offense.
Yeah. It's like, in case you're smoking, you're not supposed to. Here's an ashtray, but please don't do it. You're not supposed to do it. You can go to prison for it. Yeah, Patriots,
oh my God!
You got to
all
have
domestic
Wi-Fi.
international flights. It was banned in 2000.
Yeah, you have to have Wi-Fi on a plane now. That's ridiculous. That you think of that.
So 88 was when they banned smoking on domestic flights less than 2 hours.
Yeah, more than 2 hours. You gotta get those smokes in.
Gotta rip your heaters.
Doctor says.
Yeah.
Having no Wi-Fi, they should be getting roasted for that.
That's insane.
That's not hard to.
That's something you can on an
airplane
old
with.
plane. You can just upgrade it.
Yeah,
that's not like a crazy expenditure.
No, that's a weird one. And then, do you see what the?
Got to make sure you download all your videos on your
devices
before you take off.
Was it the Eagles players But here's the thing: is
the Eagles was also an F.
Well, the Eagles players apparently they believe they should be riding in first class and not I think it was the Eagles that said they should be riding in first class, not the coaches.
I mean, probably. Or you could just be like man of the people, Mr. Pete Carroll.
Yeah, man of the people right there.
Hey, look. According to Team Travel, ladies and gentlemen, the Las Vegas Raiders not at the bottom. Not at the bottom. They are second.
There you go.
In Team Travel.
There you go.
So maybe Pete wanted to be a man of the people.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Their players, they may have been on the old wacky tobacco.
The Raiders have believe that was it the highest grade, or is the Dolphins were? The Raiders, I think, finished second.
They also graded their coach who got fired an A-. So I think they
did like him.
I think maybe they got a little bit of a boost to, hey, give us some good grades on this year.
The lowest grade that they had was a B+, and that was treatment of families, which I thought that was a little bit surprising. Because the Raiders the Raider family thing has always been one of the things that's been touted for a long time.
Well,
so
not treating them right. I wonder if ownership got a boost because of old Tom Brady there.
Mm-hmm.
Getting an A. We got Tom Terrific 7 Super Bowls on those hands there. Boom.
Interesting spot to be.
He's a general, and he's a generous man, and he's going to lead us to Super Bowls because he's Tom freaking Brady.
All right, baseball is back, and the debut of the automatic balls and strikes. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or do we want to see Angel Hernandez look bad doing it one last time? Danny and Dusty today, the fan.
The best. Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080, The Fan.
We're going to pocket some baseball talk for tomorrow. We did not get to this earlier in the show. Pro Bowl cornerback Jair Alexander once out of Green Bay.
Well, yeah, and Brian Gutekunst, the GM, said that they're going to try and find a landing spot that's favorable for him, somewhere he wants to go. It makes sense, man. It seems like the falling out was pretty abrupt with them. Remember, they suspended him for botching the coin toss?
Yes. Because he went out rogue.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be out there, and he's like, "Nope, gonna do it. Gonna be out here." And they suspended him for a game there. He's also missed half of the games the last 4 seasons.
He's banged up.
He's 28 years old. He is really damn good, but it seems like it's run its course in Green Bay, and they're going to try to find a trade partner for him. He's a damn good corner, though, and he could be a really, really valuable piece to a contending team. If you need help on the outside, Jair Alexander is still a dude when he's healthy, but that's the big thing is it's when he's healthy, and that's few and far between over the last 4 years. But if you're talking about value, you aren't going to have to give up a whole hell of a lot because he only has $37 million over the next 2 years. I think is the number.
Yeah, it was his contract was front loaded, and it's
dude.
I don't even believe that's all guaranteed.
And so you're probably gonna get picked, a good pick if you're Green Bay for him.
Yeah, because it's not you're not gonna rake over your books to get him.
No, and it's
if he
helpful for another team because it's cheap.
And if he is healthy, you get one of the premier corners in the league if he does stay healthy. It's a big if, but
that's a massive if. But if you see guys that are open for, it's weird that this combine seems like more so than ever, GMs are more open about talking about trading guys and who is available. Not, we're going to make a move
taking a
and
page
being
of the NBA
coded.
book.
But the NBA is always vague with like who it could be.
Sure, they're
you have
naming names.
GMs that are like, no, Jair Alexander,
or in the
could trade
Browns,
him. Myles Garrett
not
on the
trading
block.
him. No,
well,
they
he's going to be.
Well, I know,
he's going to be.
But they're
his
going
ass
the
going to
other
be
way.
on the block because they're just trying to drive up the market because right now it looks like Washington and Philly are the two teams that want him the most. And if he goes to Philly, good night.
Oh, God. Him and Jalen Carter, hard pass.
Be unbelievable. All right, that does it for us today. We're going to be back tomorrow, though, because it's Thursday. And we got 3 hours.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Let's do this. Up next, you got 4 hours of power. It's primetime with Isaac and Suk right here on 1080 The Fan.
I want to look at you when I talk to you.
Bye.
Let's break bread.